I'm Alex. I'm 29. And if you told me 5 years ago that I'd be sitting in a courtroom, being sued by my own parents for $500,000, I would have laughed in your face. Not out of disbelief, but because the idea would have sounded so far removed from the family I thought I knew. We were close. Not picture perfect, sure, but we had traditions. Sunday dinners. Dad teaching me how to use his old tools before I moved out. Mom sending birthday cards with corny jokes that made me groan but secretly made me smile. Normal stuff. Solid stuff. But somewhere between my sister Leia's boundless dreams and my parents' warped concept of loyalty, the foundation cracked. And when it did, it didn't just fall apart. It exploded. It all started when Leia turned 25. You have to understand something about my sister. She walks through life like the world is set dressing for her personal fairy tale. She speaks in affirmations, quotes Instagram posts as life advice, and pivots between interests like someone flipping channels with no intention of watching the full episode. 1 month, she's opening a bakery. The next, she's launching a blog about minimalist living. Then it's crystals, chakras, and manifestation energy. And just when I thought I'd heard the last of her new phase, she told my parents she needed a house. Not an apartment. A house. A backyard. A sunroom for yoga. Space to align her aura. I thought she was joking. I laughed. My parents didn't. They nodded. Actually nodded. As if it made perfect sense for someone with no job, no savings, and a resume that read like a Pinterest board to start looking at real estate. I assumed they'd help with rent or maybe co-sign a small lease. But then came the dinner invite. Mom called me one night, cheerful and casual. Come by Saturday. We've got something important to share. That phrase, something important, sent a jolt through me, but I still showed up like an idiot. I even brought a bottle of wine, expecting some bland family update or maybe a weird intervention for Leia's latest hobby. Instead, I walked into what looked like a celebration. The dining table was set like Thanksgiving. Roast chicken, mashed potatoes, candles, wine glasses already filled. Leia looked like she'd swallowed the sun. Radiant, smug, glowing. Dad patted the seat beside him. We have exciting news. Mom handed me a thick envelope. We bought Leia a house. My mouth went dry. You what? Leia clapped like a child on Christmas morning. It's perfect. 3 bedrooms, a garden, and only 10 minutes from that yoga studio I love. I blinked. I scanned the room. Everyone was smiling like this was normal. Like we were announcing a pregnancy or someone got promoted. Then Mom dropped the hammer. It's in both your names. Technically, the mortgage is under yours. My jaw clenched. What do you mean, my name? Dad leaned in like a financial advisor giving sage advice. Your credit score's solid. It's a family investment. Leia's still building hers. I pulled the papers out of the envelope. Mortgage documents. Legal forms. My name everywhere. You want me to co-sign for a $500,000 mortgage for her? Leia rolled her eyes. It's not for me. It's ours. It's about family. My pulse hammered in my ears. Was this a prank? A twisted social experiment? Why would I agree to this? I asked. Mom's smile wavered. Because family means sacrifice, Alex. You're in a position to help. It's just paperwork. Just, that word triggered something deep inside me. Just a $500,000 debt. Just my financial future tethered to someone who couldn't even hold a job at a smoothie bar. I placed the papers on the table, slow and deliberate. I'm not signing anything. Leia's face twisted in betrayal. Wow, so much for being the responsible one. Dad's tone shifted. The warmth evaporated. You wouldn't be where you are without us. We raised you. All we're asking for is a little help. I stood up. You didn't raise me to be stupid. I walked out before dessert. For weeks after, I avoided their calls. I figured they'd get over it, maybe realize how absurd their ask was. Maybe sell the house. I underestimated them. Badly. Because then came the letter with a law firm's name at the top. My parents were suing me. The claim that I had agreed, promised, to take responsibility for the mortgage, and when I didn't follow through, I caused financial damages in the amount of $500,000. The kicker? The house was already purchased. The loan was already in my name. They used a forged power of attorney document I'd signed back in college for a completely unrelated matter. Somehow, they'd taken that, used it to impersonate me, and closed the deal. I felt like I was drowning. I hired a lawyer immediately. He was blunt, no nonsense, the type who didn't bother with pleasantries. After scanning the paperwork, he said, "They committed fraud. We're not just defending here, we may go on the offense." The legal process was brutal. My credit was tanked. I couldn't apply for a loan for my own apartment. Every family gathering became a trap. At Easter, my mom whispered, "You could end this. Just do the right thing." I laughed in her face. That courtroom day came like a funeral. I wore my best suit, walked in with my lawyer, and saw my parents sitting across from me, looking like victims. Leah behind them, scrolling her phone like she was bored. The judge was no nonsense. Silver hair, steely eyes. He flipped through the papers silently for a long time. Then, without looking up, he said to their lawyer, "If the defendant never signed these documents, and you admit they were submitted before he saw them, what are you basing this case on?" Their lawyer fumbled. The judge raised an eyebrow. "You have a verbal agreement? Witnessed by the beneficiary." He was furious. "You expect me to enforce a $500,000 debt based on a conversation and a forged document signed a decade ago for a different purpose?" The silence that followed cracked the air like thunder. My lawyer didn't even need to speak. The judge continued, voice rising. "This is an abuse of the court system. Unless you have actual evidence in 5 minutes, I'm dismissing this, and you'll be lucky I don't recommend criminal charges." Their lawyer turned to my parents. My mom paled. My dad fumed. Leah looked down at her phone like she wasn't at the center of this disaster. They withdrew the case. It was over, except it wasn't. That night, I sat in my apartment, not celebrating but reflecting. My parents had tried to steal my life's work, to weaponize love, guilt, and obligation. And when I refused, they tried to punish me. I'd spent years being the good son, quiet, reliable, self-sufficient. They used that against me. So I sent one final email to my lawyer. "Let's press charges." The next days blurred. We filed police reports. I submitted everything: documents, signatures, emails, call logs. The detective assigned to the case, Moretti, was efficient, calm. "This isn't going away quietly," he told me. "And based on what we have, we're likely looking at felony charges." I felt nothing, just a cold, focused clarity. Then came the phone call, the smoking gun. A recorded call between my father and the loan officer. My dad, pretending to be me, answering security questions, giving consent, confirming his identity as Alex Bradford. Hearing it made my skin crawl. He committed identity theft with the confidence of a man who thought he'd never be caught. When we handed it over to the state's attorney office, they didn't hesitate. Arrest warrants were issued. My father was charged with financial fraud and identity theft. My mother as an accomplice. They were processed and released, but the charges stuck. That's when the fallout began. Family called. Some angry, some confused. A cousin screamed over the phone, "You're sending your parents to jail?" I said one sentence. "They did this to themselves." Then Leah called. "I didn't know they forged it," she whispered. "I thought you agreed. They said you were fine with it." I asked her, "Why didn't you ask me?" She had no answer, just silence. "Are you really pressing charges?" she asked. I said, "I'm not playing their game anymore," and hung up. The real twist came with the mortgage company. After internal review, they removed me from the mortgage entirely due to confirmed fraud. The house defaulted. Foreclosure began. Leah moved out, posting vague quotes online about cleansing energy and walking away from negative forces. I didn't reply. My parents pled out. No jail time, but heavy probation, restitution, and the end of their reputations. My dad lost his seat on the board of a local nonprofit. My mom stopped going to church. The whispers around town were deafening. Me? I bought a small house. Modest, clean, paid for with my own money. No co-signers. No drama. I didn't throw a party. Just lit a candle, ordered takeout, and toasted myself. For surviving. For finally saying no. Months later, I got a text from my mom. "We miss you. Come home for Thanksgiving. Let's start over." I read it. Then I turned off my phone. And finally, I moved on.